Hey, it's Kim Commando Today, your daily podcast to keep you up to date with all things digital and beyond. And I'd love to have you be a part of our podcast. You can make an appointment to speak with me. Just head over to commando.com, and on the top right, there's a button that says Email Kim. Fill that out, and that's it. Let's talk about a site that you know of, and I'm sure you've used it, Craigslist. It's been around since 1995, and let me tell you, it still looks like 1995, 30 years ago. Well, joining us here is Craig Newmark, and Craig is, of course, the guy behind Craigslist. So, Craig, let's talk about you. Overnight success, right?
My life is completely surreal. I never expected any of this to happen. I'm not completely comfortable with it, but I got to get over that and just get done what needs to be get done.
And so, I was looking at Craigslist before I came down the studio. But again, thank you for being here. The site still has kind of like that 1995 vibe.
That's deliberate. For years, I've been speaking to people who use the site. They want it simple and fast, and the company has kept that philosophy. I should note I've been retired for like 6 years, and I gave up all management responsibilities and powers like 25 years ago.
Oh, did you really? Wow.
Yeah. People help me understand that as a manager, I suck, so I stepped down.
I mean, did you royally suck or just a little bit?
Let's say I would not want to work for myself, so I found someone, Jim Buckmaster, who's much better. I became a full-time customer service rep, and I am a great customer service rep.
So what was wrong with your management style? Were you too tough?
I was, too wimpy. I was not good at hiring or firing decisions, and I was not aggressive about making changes to the site that needed to be made.
Well, you know what? It's good that you realized all that. It's. I don't really think I'm very good at management either. I don't know. Maybe it's maybe it's the whole being your mind goes in a more technical area. I've had to learn to give. Are you familiar with positive sandwiches?
Probably not in the sense you intend.
Oh, I had a gal come into my office. This is probably about 5 years ago. And she said, I love you and I love working here, but you need to change your management style. And I said to her, what would I do? And she said, well, you need to give a positive sandwich to me. And I said, so I don't understand what that is. And she said, well, when you told me to rewrite the customer service emails and you didn't like what I wrote, what you should have said is, Mary, thank you for bringing your talents each day to the Kim Commando Show in our studios. And we know that you're just going to do a great job at whatever you do. But, that customer service email that you wrote for us, I think it could use just a little bit of improvement. And I know you can do it because you are so smart. So you get out there and you do it.
I need to do more of that. I do that when I express appreciation, because in my current efforts, I'm trying to basically herd the people who herd cats. I'm not a natural for that role. It's really tough, but until I get that kind of help, I have to thank people, then suggest something, and then thank them again. I need to learn better how General Eisenhower did it, or maybe how General Washington did it. But those skills aren't natural to me, so I look for help.
It's not to me either. I don't know if it's because, like I said, I have a degree in computer science, or I'm from New Jersey, or maybe it's a combination of both. It's just the way that it is. And so over time, I'm sure that you were approached by a lot of VC companies who said, we could really do a bang up job with Craigslist and we could take it to the next level. And you've already displaced classified ads in places like Nextdoor, whatever it may be, and we can think of all the tracking we can do around the world. Were you approached with those type of thoughts?
That happened pretty much in 98 and 99. See, at the end of 98, I was told that Craigslist operating as a volunteer operation wasn't going to work out. And I realized that the people I was talking to were right. And at the same time, VCs and bankers were telling me, monetize everything, they'll give me billions.
Billions. Wow.
But I decided, based on what I learned in Sunday school, that wouldn't sit well for me. So I made the big decision to not listen to the VCs and bankers, to monetize as little as possible. And that's the decision we've stuck with for 25 years or so.
Wow. What was it hard to turn it down, or you just said, we don't, what would I do with all that money?
I winced a little bit, thinking that I was turning down an awful lot of money. Somebody finally came up with a good estimate, and they said 11 billion.
Wow.
But in Sunday school, Mr. and Mrs. Levin did a good job with my moral compass. They taught me to know when enough is enough. They were right. I've stuck with it.
And so it started with an email, is that correct?
Yeah. For the first year or so, Craigslist was a mailing list, hence the name. It's just that in 96, I realized, emails have standardized formats. I could write code to give me instant and for free web publishing.
Wow. And so was it just in the San Francisco area first?
Yeah. Until 2000, it was just San Francisco and the entirety of the Bay Area. It wasn't until mid 2000 when Jim took over that we expanded to other cities.
And then, of course, now it's global.
It is global, but mostly Craigslist is a US site.
And then is it something that you see as a predecessor? I do certainly to like places like Facebook Marketplace and OfferUp, and gosh, the list just goes on and on.
I don't see it as a predecessor like that because Craigslist has the spirit of a community site
Yeah, that's
where
true.
people are giving each other a break. The VCs or shareholders are not demanding that we do regrettable things to our customers. And so, they aren't competition in that sense. And the philosophy is just to straight on figure out what helps people out. And that's worked.
And so you retired, what'd you say, 6 years ago?
Yeah.
Okay. And what have you been doing since then?
Well, for the past 10 years or so, increasingly, I've been doing philanthropy, giving money away where it seemed to do the most good for people, areas which were typically not addressed by much bigger philanthropists.
And some examples?
Well, the areas where I'm spending the most time and money are in cybersecurity and helping out military families and vets. I mean, I will indulge my sense of humor. I do support pigeon rescue, but I love birds and I really do have a sense of humor.
Okay. And so, what are you doing with the vets? That's near and dear to my heart for sure.
Okay. Well, with vets, the deal is that I'm trying to support the veterans groups that are really good at helping out veterans across the whole country. If somebody's going to volunteer to go overseas, maybe to risk taking a bullet to protect me, I should give back, and I feel the country should. What I've done at this point, after years of trying, I work with the Bob Woodruff Foundation. They are good at finding nonprofits who are good at something, and then we work together in this Got Your Six network, and the idea is that There's about 360 groups now in this Got Your Six network. They are really good at helping vets. So I give the Bob Woodruff folks a lot of money. Right now, my funding is up to, 200 million,
Wow.
including military families. They figure out what to do, and I get out of their way, and I stay out of their way, because sometimes an amateur like myself needs to get out of the way of the professionals.
Missing out on a show that everyone's talking about is not an option for me. I'm constantly signing up for this streaming service or that one, and then months later, I realize I'm still paying for the service. You know, when you sign up for something, forget about it until after the trial period ends, and then you're charged month after month? Getting Rocket Money was a game changer for me. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps find and cancel unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings. They have over 5 million users and have saved a total of $500 million in canceled subscriptions, saving members up to $740 a year when using all the app's premium features. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions and reach your financial goals faster with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/Kim today. That's rocketmoney.com/Kim. Rocketmoney.com/Kim. Check it out right now. Rocketmoney.com/Kim.
You know, that is so astute because so many times, people, they give money and they want to be on the board, they want to control, they want to dictate, they want to do things. And really, like you said, I mean, these are the professionals. This is what they're doing.
You're right. I don't want to omit the fact that I'm providing equal support for military families. The $200 million commitment, I've spent already about half of it, is also for Blue Star families. They have networks of military families which welcome newly relocated military families. Military families get relocated around 600,000 times a year, sometimes to areas with a much higher cost of living than they're used to, with much higher housing costs. So the folks at Blue Star Families are really good at setting up chapters and outposts. These are military families who can welcome a new military family, make them part of the community, the neighborhood, and tell them stuff where, like, where they can tell them about schools, about housing, even food in restaurants. This sounds like small stuff, but when you're moved to a whole new part of the country,
you don't know.
You need a hand.
Yeah, you don't know. I mean, you're sitting there saying, and then you still have your whole life in boxes, trying to figure out, where the underwear is versus the pots. It's no fun at all.
And you need help with childcare. And the problem is that while a spouse is looking for a job, they need childcare, but they can't afford it until they get that job.
So, so think about this. I mean, back in 1995, if you could write a letter to your future self, could you even imagine all of this is going on?
I couldn't have anticipated it. It's very surreal. I don't have that much imagination. And mostly Craigslist at first was just about me giving back to people in the area, people who had helped me out, all mediated via the internet.
And you're still helping people out. Tell me about the pigeons. I'm curious about that. What is that?
I love birds for reasons that I can't understand. I have a sense of humor, so I have bird feeders up. And in our New York place, our garden is dominated by a pigeon called Ghostface Killer. That's his name.
Okay.
He runs the yard. He knows who the boss is, and so we support him and others. But in addition, I support groups like Palomacy, which is pigeon rescue in the Bay Area. I support the Wild Bird Fund, which is bird rescue in Manhattan. And so I try to help out in very modest ways. But my great focus nowadays, cybersecurity, vets, and military families.
Cybersecurity is a big one. Oh my gosh. I mean, It's I don't know which area you're focusing on. I mean, I feel like every day, Craig, I'm hearing from somebody who's getting scammed. And not just scammed by $50. I'm talking about scammed like $100,000, $500,000, $800,000. I mean, it's wild out there.
Yeah. Well, the problem is we're facing some combination of cybercrime, but even nation state attacks on our country. Not only espionage, but something that worries me a lot is the attack on critical infrastructure.
Yeah.
Like the foreign military is going after our water supplies, power supplies, food. And the deal is this is a really, this whole thing is a really, really big set of problems because cybercrime often funds nation states. The people scamming us sometimes aren't crooks so much as they are people working for the occasional foreign military. It's a huge problem. I'm getting a lot of help, but my problem is that I don't have the leadership skills of Eisenhower or Washington. There are people who do, but what I can do is try to build networks of networks while I'm trying to find people who are actual leaders. I can lead from it by example. I can lead from the bottom up, but I'm not an Eisenhower. I'm not Washington.
And so, what are you trying to do with on the cybersecurity realm?
Big story. What I'm doing is trying to identify priority areas like critical infrastructure, and I'm working with people who know how to enlist the entire country
I see.
so that everyone, I mean literally the entire country, everyone needs to do what they can to protect themselves and their families, to protect their jobs, and to protect the country like everyone played a role in World War II. We're just starting to do this. If you see something for Pause Take 9 or Just Take 9, that's my team. The idea is that by taking basic precautions, practicing basic cyber hygiene, we can do a lot to protect ourselves and our families, to protect our jobs, because you don't want your job to go away because of a ransomware attack. And I think everyone should do what they can to protect the country, just like World War II.
I'm always looking for ways to keep you safe on your devices. Did you know that there's malware out there that records every single thing that you type? It's called a keylogger, and it's one of the sneakiest ways that hackers steal passwords, credit card numbers, and private info. Scary, right? That's where Endpoint Lock comes in. Think of it like a secret vault for your keyboard. It encrypts or scrambles every keystroke that you type. Even if a hacker is trying to spy on you, all they'll see is uncrackable gibberish. It works quietly in the background on your devices, protecting you every time you log into your bank, shop online, or send a private email. Keyloggers are more common than you might think, but with Endpoint Lock, they don't stand a chance. Go to endpointlock.com/Kim. They're offering an exclusive deal just for my listeners. Get 10% off a monthly or yearly subscription using code KIM10. That's endpointlock.com/Kim using code KIM10 for 10% off a monthly or a yearly plan. Endpointlock.com/Kim, endpointlock.com/Kim.
That's interesting. I hadn't heard of that, but it's kind of like if, in World War II, if you see something, say something, and, and loose lips sink ships. And, there's something that I've been trying to do, not with getting a lot of traction, but it was just a campaign, stop and think, don't click that link,
Yeah.
just take a pause for just a second, like kind of, using the words that you mentioned. I mean, it's because we are very vulnerable.
Yeah.
We are 100%.
Foreign military has already compromised things like water supplies, water processing, and a lot of that's been cleaned up. The problem is we don't know what we don't know. So my deal is to find the networks of volunteers who can help support the, let's say, small utility operators. Again, water supplies, electrical supplies. We need to find the volunteer networks who can help them out, because I guess my role is to draw the attention of everyone in the country to what's going on and to, in the most polite and respectful way of telling small operators they often need some help, and then we can help provide some of that. I don't want to go out of my way to piss off thousands of IT staffs across the country without providing any help. I get myself into enough trouble. Um, like I say, I'm not a natural leader. The best I can do is to be Paul Revere. I'm hesitant to put on a powdered wig, and for sure I'm not going to ride a horse anywhere. But fortunately, I have no sense of dignity, and there's always deep fakes. I guess I could deep fake myself riding a horse and powdered wig, telling people that the enemy is coming, and we can all do something about it.
Do you think the average American realizes this? I don't think so. I mean, I think they've got their head in the sand, and they don't. It's like, why do I need to worry about that? Why do I need to worry about the TikTok having full access to everything on my phone, including my voice print? I mean,
Well, part of the mission with Pause Take 9 and what I'm calling cyber civil defense is to cut through all the noise, telling people, here's what we got to worry about. Here's what people can do to protect themselves and so on. The idea is we hear a lot of things and people don't know what to do. People don't know where to go. That applies to me too. I don't know what software I should be running in my phone and my notebooks to protect things. I have already taken a lot of precautions, but what I need to do is to enlist people who are professionals to help out. For example, I'm working with, and I'm heavily funding, Consumer Reports to help out. They've been about recommending consumer technology for 80, 90 years.
for sure.
And they're good at this stuff. So I'm working with people who are good at helping people protect themselves. As for TikTok and social media, I do worry about how hostile foreign military can weaponize social media. The problem is that they've already done so. I defer all that to professionals who know that stuff. It all requires like social skills. And as I tell people, social skills, have you met me? I really am a nerd. I really did wear a plastic pocket protector in school, in high school. I really did have thick black glasses taped together, and I really had no social skills, no ability to read social cues. I'm much less bad at it, and I can fake social skills now, but I am only faking it. It's a simulation. After a while, I can't do it anymore.
Oh, I find that hard to believe, Craig. I do.
There are people in different places, like my old colleagues at IBM, who could testify that. I learned only in retrospect that frequently at IBM in Detroit, I would often be a jerk. I would correct people, particularly when it was pointless, and that's real jerk behavior. These days, I hope that I'm not a jerk, except maybe very rarely.
or when you need to be. Okay.
Oh, there's always better ways of doing things than being a jerk. I do work on that, and I work on it as much as I can, but I'll probably still end my years working on my social skills.
Well, I think you're doing well. I've met a lot of programmer jerky faces over the years, and you don't strike me as that guy. So you mentioned Consumer Reports, and I'm a big fan of what they do, and because they do a fabulous job. So, as a matter of fact, I was on the cover of Consumer Reports, I don't know, a couple of years ago. And the thing with Consumer Reports is that they are unbiased, and they do go through, a lot of rigorous testing that you can trust. What do you think? What do you think the average consumer can be doing to protect themselves? I mean, we talk about antivirus software, VPNs, and password managers. We have got a whole litany of tools right now.
Well, I've built a team preparing to make recommendations for people because everyone can do better password protection, but there's something new calling passkeys, and we're going to need to move that rapidly. We need good recommendations for trustworthy password managers, which can help us get to passkeys relatively quickly. We need good advice in terms of, well, everyone needs to decide for themselves what ecosystem they're in and who do they trust.
Right.
Like people tend to use the Google stuff or Microsoft stuff or Apple stuff. And my team and I need to work with the big guys to help get them to tell us just what's going on, just what you can trust, what they're working on, how everyone can do better. We need to publish other guidelines. For example, when your system tells you it wants to be updated, go ahead and update it. We need a whole bunch of solid recommendations like that and to be very focused about it. The idea is that I'm deferring to people who are much smarter than me about it, who can make solid recommendations as to what can be trusted, what tools to use, and then we need to commit to getting the word out in terms everyone can get behind, and then we can keep paying attention and make better recommendations for how people can recommend themselves. For example, after the first batch, we may be recommending protective DNS to people.
Right.
That's DNS, the domain name system.
For sure.
We need, we need that kind of stuff to tell people, that if they're about to visit a phishing site or a site that tries to download malware on your computer, we need our systems to say, hey, you don't really want to do that.
There's a lot of talk about AI making the world a better place, but better for who? Your insurance companies, HR departments, politicians, all tracking your every move? That doesn't sound better to me, which is why I always protect my privacy with ExpressVPN. And you should too. ExpressVPN encrypts all your online activity and reroutes it through secure servers. That means no one, not your internet provider and not any malicious artificial intelligence, can see what websites you visit or what apps you use. ExpressVPN works on smartphones, laptops, tablets, just about any device. Just one click, and you've got a private, secure internet connection. And it even comes with a risk-free 30-day money-back guarantee. Right now, get 4 extra months of ExpressVPN for free at expressvpn.com/Kim. That's expressvpn.com/Kim to keep your internet secure today. expressvpn.com/Kim. expressvpn.com/Kim.
Yeah, as well as, I'm just thinking of, all the people, like I mentioned, that I speak to that are getting scammed. They get a phone number that pops up on their screen that says, your Windows PC is infected. Let us help you. I spoke to a guy who fell for a pig butchering scam because, he thought he could make, I don't know, 20 to 30% overnight on crypto investments, which is just not possible. I spoke to a woman who lost $400,000 in a banking scam. I mean, somebody called her up and said they were from the FBI and they wanted to protect her money in Bank of America. And she actually went to the bank and pulled out all the cash and put it in old iPhone boxes in a car in a mall and did this several times. I mean, you're like, how do you even think this is even possible?
You're right about that. And Craigslist has been publishing guidelines to prevent scams and other sorts of crime for like 20 years or more. And that's been pretty effective, but we need to do better. Frankly, I'm taking a look at the use of generative AI for customer service.
Right.
And one of the efforts I'm engaged with is with Consumer Reports. As you say that, I'm thinking maybe we need generative AI chatbots to help people prevent scams and that kind of thing. It's tougher than it sounds because these days, as people are selling chatbots based on large language models, some of the people building this are kind of careless
For sure.
about the material that they're training their LLMs on, and that deserves pretty serious consideration. I have a lot of confidence in Consumer Reports to do the job right, and frankly, I'm also working with Moms First about their paid leave programs because in New York, they've trained generative AI to give good advice on how to fill out the forms for paid leave because the forms are really hard to use.
Are they?
That's an experiment in process, but the deal is that everyone needs help in a number of areas, but that help needs to be trustworthy.
What do you think of AI?
What we're talking about is the use of large language models to better understand language using neural network technology, which is something I was really, really interested in 1973. Back then I realized, there's going to be no jobs in this available for a very long time. And I took my eye off the ball. Intermittently, I would pay attention, but this whole generation of stuff caught me completely by surprise. I think it has a lot of potential, but large language models, these chatbots, sometimes people get careless, train them on, even on sites like the newspaper operations in places like North Korea or maybe Moscow or Beijing. And some of those news sources may not be entirely trustworthy. And now and then I'll chat with someone and suggest maybe people need to be not so careless.
Yes, for sure. I mean, I always find it comical when I hear somebody say, "Well, AI hallucinated." Like, it just made crap up,
Yeah.
okay? I mean, let's call it what it is.
Well, I'm trying to think constructively always because I learned from being a jerk at IBM. And now I prefer to work with some folks quietly, constructively. And that seems to be much more effective than just complaining.
Yeah, well, AI is, I've been talking about it, well, for years now, but we're just like in the infancy of
Yeah.
the development of this technology, and there are so many great things it can do as far as curing disease and helping with medical treatments and things.
Yeah. I have a lot of confidence in its future. I've helped out a guy who's training language models to look at a routine electrocardiogram and to detect symptoms of things like AFib.
Wow. Yeah, I mean it has just tremendous potential for that. It also has potential for bad, or it
Yep.
does.
Yeah. My deal is I find people doing good work in some areas, and sometimes I can afford to help them out.
Which is, fabulous. And you know what? I've never had the chance to speak with you. Like you, I'm an overnight success. I've been doing this a long time, and but I've always admired everything that you've done from afar. And I just want to say, thanks for coming on and telling us your story.
I appreciate it. And as always, people sometimes need to help remind me, but a nerd's got to do what a nerd's got to do.
Yeah, I'm a nerd. I admit it, and proud of it. Okay. And I was also, I don't know if I was a jerk at IBM, but I worked at IBM for a little bit too.
Oh, okay. Anyway, I really do appreciate it. And everyone, if you can help out people who need to be helped out, please do.
Thank you, Craig. Thank you. That's right. We should be nice to everybody all the time. I know what you're thinking, Kim. You are nice. I am. Hey, if you want to know more about what he has going on, go to craignewmarkphilanthropies.org.
This program is a copyrighted production of Westar Multimedia Entertainment and protected by the copyright laws. Any rebroadcast or use of this program for commercial, business, economic, or financial purposes without the written permission of Westar Multimedia Entertainment is strictly prohibited.